A Grand Island School Board candidate will not face charges for election fraud. While Katie Mauldin's situation may not be traditional, officials say it's not criminal. However, it does raise further questions about Nebraska law. Steve White joins us live. And Steve, we reviewed video. A former cop working for the school talks to the man who owns the home and says she doesn't live there. So what are we to make of all this?
Yeah, Dave, well, Nebraska law says if you intend to return someplace, that can be considered your legal residence. Local officials call that a gray area, but in their view, Katie Mauldin should join the Grand Island School Board as they decide not to file charges. 43 days after voters cast their ballots, the winner of a Grand Island School Board race learns she was properly elected. Katie Mauldin may have multiple places she can call home, and if she intends to return to the ward she was elected in, that makes her a resident.
And I understand that people may not agree with this definition, but it's the state's definition.
The Hall County Election Commissioner vetted Mauldin's residency when she filed for office. What the election commissioner didn't know was that Mauldin later moved twice, once out of town, then to the other side of Grand Island. And that raised the prospect of election fraud.
If the candidate filed a document that was false, that would be a felony.
But the county attorney and sheriff now say there's nothing criminal based on Nebraska law that goes beyond a simple reading of where someone sleeps.
Residency is not black and white. There's a lot of gray area, and there's a lot of gray for a reason.
Reasons like state senators who maintain their homes but keep apartments in Lincoln. Based on this interpretation, Grand Island Public Schools now says Mauldin will be seated on the school board. Initially, the district's investigation, which included the work of former officers, determined Mauldin was no longer living at the address she claimed. The election commissioner said she finds it surprising Mauldin never informed officials when she moved. Tracy Overstreet says most candidates volunteer that information.
I, too, find this a frustrating process.
And said she's calling on lawmakers to make that a requirement to avoid this mess in the future.
For one, I think when I take a candidate filing, to me it seems reasonable for a candidate that has changed information to report that changed information.
And there's also the possibility that this could have become a campaign issue, but it was never disclosed, so it was not known to the voters. Also, Tracy Overstreet said she wants to set the record straight on one other thing. If Mauldin had not been seated, well, she said the proper protocol under the law would have been to allow the current office holder to remain in that seat until the office was held. There was some question about that, but as it turns out, that's not going to be an issue because Miss Mauldin will now be seated on the board.
Steve White live in Grand Island. Steve, get inside and get warm, please.
All right.
Thank you.